Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Missing Frames. This is the podcast where we watch all the movies we should have seen by this point in our lives. I'm your host, Shawn Eastridge. We're hanging out on the Nerd Party Network, a collection of podcasts dedicated to bringing you all things entertainment, from movies to TV to books. Go check it out at thenerdparty.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Join Nerd Party, and make sure to like the Instagram and the Facebook page. It's just the Nerd Party. But I am so delighted to welcome back to the show one Carley Cooper after an extended absence. Carley, welcome back.
Hey, happy 1 year anniversary since we
Happy
did
1
the
year-
last episode, I guess.
Oh no. Are you taking this opportunity to call me out on my shameful guest host habits?
No. It was just you had brought up earlier that it was exactly like a year ago that we did Clue.
It's been a year since we did Clue, and then I don't
you're
remember
right.
when 7 Year Itch was.
I think we did that after.
If you're going to call me out and you can't even come to the table and bring the specifics of our podcasting friendship to the table, I don't know what to tell you.
Coming in hot.
The audience may not know. We have known each other for years. We went to high school together. We're the best of friends. And we're allowed to rib each other a little bit at the top of a podcast.
Each other.
That's right. That's right. So we did the 7 Year Itch. That was our last episode. Again, if you're a faithful, loyal listener, or if you only listen exclusively to the Carley episodes, which
I'm sure some of you do. No, I'm joking.
Carley's the best, so I can't blame you in the slightest. But we were talking about doing this particular film because in the 7 Year Itch, which was so funny, there is a recurring gag about Marilyn Monroe keeps describing what's his name as like he's like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes.
So you mentioned you're like, actually, I think Creature from the Black Lagoon. Did you say it's your favorite movie or one of your favorites?
It is one of my all-time favorite movies, and a big reason as to why I work in the industry I work in.
And tell the good people at home who maybe they're like, Carley, I didn't realize she was a person. I didn't listen to any of the Carley episodes. Explain to them, what exactly do you do, and which industry are we referring to?
So you wouldn't know me because I'm not that important or that big of a deal. So that's cool. If you do know me, even cooler, I guess. So I work in the special makeup effects for film and television, and I work predominantly at a shop called Fractured Effects, and we do a lot of suits and bodies and puppet, like animatronic stuff and prosthetics and all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Awesome stuff. And you worked on one of the many, many amazing things this company has worked on is the Westworld television series. And I think the first episode we did together, we had an extensive conversation about the movie Westworld, which was just a bonkers film. But we talked a lot about all the cool stuff you were doing. So people should go and listen to that, don't you think?
Definitely. I definitely think so. And I think even from when you asked me to do that episode and you were like, hey, if we do another one, I'll let you pick a movie. Creature from the Black Lagoon was always like in the list of movies where I'd be like, this one. Like, these are good ones.
Right. And I've never, I mean, I know what this movie is, but I've never actually seen it. And what's funny is I think it was, what kind of, you and I had been talking about doing this, but there was a documentary, I think I'll Be Gone in the Dark, the Michelle McNamara. I feel like I'm pronouncing her name wrong, and I'm so sorry. It was such a great, I think it was on HBO, but Patton Oswalt's late wife wrote this book about about this murderer. And in the documentary, they have lots of clips from Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I was actually really struck by how effective they were, and they were used in context with the documentary, but just the visuals themselves, I was like, this looks really amazing, and it looks really creepy, and this is like an old horror film from the 50s and a guy in a rubber suit, but also these shots are so effective, and I think that kind of reignited my interest in watching.
There's so much cool stuff with this movie. I mean, honestly, like, it's one of those films that so has like affected pop culture so much, where You might not have seen it, but you definitely know the imagery of the creature. Like, you've not seen the movie, but you know who the Gill Man is. You know,
For
like, you might not
sure.
know that's his name or whatever, but you know what he looks like. Like, you've also maybe seen, just like in the 7 Year Itch, they go and see that movie and they talk about it. And there's plenty of references, you know, to this particular monster, cryptid, you know, whatever. There's like a ton of stuff. So even if you've never seen the film, it's almost impossible for you to have not heard of it.
Right, exactly. And again, this creature pops up in almost everything, so it's so ingrained in our culture. But do you remember the first time you saw this, and did you like it right away? Like, was it literally something where you were like 5 years old and, oh my God, I'm gonna be a makeup artist when I grow up? This movie has inspired me, or what's your history with this movie?
Well, I wouldn't say definitely wasn't really young, because I didn't get really like exposed to these older movies until I was in high school.
Okay.
And part of that is because, like,
And did we tell the people at home? I just want to remind everybody that we are high school. Did we say that, or I don't know?
you
Sorry.
know, we haven't
Continue.
mentioned that this time. We
No,
did
I don't think
mention we've
so.
known each other for a long time, but every other episode we've kind of
Well,
overly
let's
gone
be
into
specific.
detail
So
about how long we've known each other.
I really wanted to remind people that yes, we have known each other since high school, because I want the audience to subconsciously be like, oh, well, Shawn must have been the inspiration for Carley to watch all these
Yes.
classic films. I
Yes,
want them to
because
think that.
you yourself are such a monster.
Wait, I don't want them to. Wait, hold on. I thought it was like I was such a wonderful source of knowledge, and
Oh, is that the way we were going? I'm
that's what
sorry.
I
I'm
want. Well,
sorry.
yeah,
I'm
that's what
sorry.
I was going for it. Yeah, but okay,
No, but
whatever. Either.
so, like, I have always just loved movies, like, always. I don't know, I've always kind of been obsessed with the TV and movies and stuff. And my family is not really the same as me on that aspect of things, like, to the point where, like, when I was moving, my mom thought she would help me by, like, condensing my DVDs and put them all into these freaking sleeves and threw out all the boxes and didn't tell me. And I
Oh
come home,
no!
yes, I was livid. But, like,
Oh,
that's
that
the
would make
thing,
me
it's
so
like
sad.
they don't understand that because they don't have that same appreciation. So, like, I wasn't exposed to this through anybody other than, like, my own interest in literally old movies. I love old movies, just from the 30s to the 60s, or some of my favorite films happen in those times. And there's just such a, like, thing about those films that there's so much artistic just stuff that has to happen because we didn't have the technology of the digital. And there's just
Right.
so there's just
You're more reliant on it's incredible, especially with special effects films. And I don't know, I know the suit is really impressive in this. I don't know
yes.
to what extent the special effects are, but like the filmmakers have to y- not to discredit anything that 21st century computer effects have given us, but when you watch a film from back in the day like this or 2001 A
Mhm.
Space Odyssey or anything where it's like how could they possibly have done this without today's technology, you
Yeah.
do have to think like it almost feels a little bit more impressive in some ways.
For sure, because, like, there's tons of old horror movies that are from this era, like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, and it's a paper mache hand coming in a window to grab somebody. You know, like, it doesn't
Right.
hold up, you know, the same way that this does. Or there's some other movies, like, I think one of them's called Them, and it's about, like, these giant ants that come from outer space or whatever. But
Yes.
you can see all the strings, you know. There's stuff like that that doesn't hold up for a viewer today, that makes it fun to watch in its own right because of those campy things and because of what they had to do. But this movie, in my opinion, was so ahead of its time because of the suit, was like because of the way that they filmed it. I mean, like, this guy is underwater with a suit and they're filming him underwater. You know, that's
I
not an
couldn't
easy
do that.
feat.
I
Well,
couldn't
and
do that. I have such a like I have such a fear of water, like drowning in general, but like I am also super claustrophobic. So to imagine somebody in the 50s without like probably the proper protocols or safety measures being put into place,
yeah.
like I could never do that.
Well, and the other thing too is, not a lot of people know this, I guess, but the creature, the Gill Man, was played by two separate men.
Okay.
I'm gonna say his name wrong. Raiku Browning. was the one who ended up playing the creature in all of the different versions of this film. But in the original A Creature from the Black Lagoon, he was strictly the underwater suit. And there was another actor, I don't remember his name. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, later. But
Sure.
he played the on land suit, and there were
Was
two
it
different.
Ben Chapman?
Uh, that sounds right.
Okay. I'm on
Um,
Wikipedia.
Okay, yeah, that
I think that
that
is
sounds
him.
correct. Yes, yes, yes. But so they had two different suits, and they were also painted different colors. Because filming underwater is different than filming on land, and
Right.
obviously, and the lighting is different. There's no way to get around that because you're lighting through water versus air. Like it affects that. So there were differences in that, and then one of the things that like I started watching these movies like in high school when my family got cable, and we had the Turner Classic Movie Channel. So I was just like watching all of these old movies, and this one was one that came up, and I'd heard about it and I hadn't seen it, but I felt like I loved it. It was great because
Mm.
I wasn't really good at watching like horror movies then. Like now I can watch a horror movie and it's not a big deal, but I used to get like really like anxious and freaked out, and they just used to
Oh, me
scare
too.
me,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so watching these like older black and white horror movies, they weren't scary to me. That like I could watch them and enjoy the story and not be so scared,
Right.
but still have that tension of, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Is she gonna be okay?
Yeah.
It made it a little more palatable for me, but I also just truly enjoyed it. And in watching it, it's like, wow, that suit's crazy. Like, how did they do that? And I was like researching a little bit of stuff, and the fact that that creature specifically was designed by a woman, and she got a lot of like she didn't get a lot of credit for it in the time, and
A woman not getting credit for doing all the work. That doesn't happen. What
I
are you talking
know,
about?
and it's kind of sad because like she really is a huge Milicent Patrick is her name. She's like a huge inspiration to a lot of she was the first Disney animator. Like
Oh,
I'm sorry,
wow.
not the first female Disney animator.
Mm.
Like she and the other thing is she was really really beautiful too. So when this movie was coming out, Universal wanted to do a promotional tour with her, and they wanted to call it The Beauty Who Created the Beast.
Mm.
So but there was some very negative backlash from her boss at the time, Bud Westmore. And if you know anything about makeup history in Hollywood, the Westmore family, they are makeup royalty. Like
Okay.
did Audrey Hepburn's makeup, like all the
Okay.
Star Trek movie, like just like if you want to look into it, you can look up, the Westmores. It's like if you were born to the Westmore family and you're an astronaut, you're a disappointment. You know what I mean? Like they're makeup royalty, and they're so well
Okay.
respected. So at the time he took full credit for that, and she wasn't even credited
Oh, no.
in the movie. She wasn't credited. And but the thing is if you look through the historical just behind the scenes stuff, she's drawing the design, she's painting the mask, she's like doing all of this stuff, and she didn't get to take credit for it because like one man, his ego was hurt over the fact that this woman was getting more notice because she was beautiful, and she ended up getting fired
Right.
and blacklisted for a little while. And like there's just all this drama that went on behind that. And now it's kind of been set right and she's been given more credit. But what's a little bit frustrating is if you like look into what maybe the Westmores have to say about it, if you look into Bud's history, it
Right.
still doesn't credit her fully, and he's still maybe claiming, or that they're still claiming more ownership over that character. And one of the things specifically it says about his contributions is that he attached goggles into the eyes of the suit, but
Mhm.
Riku specifically didn't want goggles in his suit because there was no way for him to be able to take them off if water got in there. So it was easier for him to perform without goggles. So like it's just frustrating that even today, when stuff's been proven that like this woman was responsible, like they're still not willing to like fully put that right.
Concede. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awful. That's so interesting though. See, this is why I bring you bring all the facts, like you know what's up with this
Well,
world
it's
and
just, it's
the
one of those
history of it.
things of being a female in this industry. I don't want to say like that everyone's like that, because it's not like that, but you know, she's like somebody who paved the way. So I think it's just such a disservice to discredit this woman for what an impact she's had on the horror genre. You know, like,
Right.
and it wasn't even just that. Like, she's created all kinds of stuff that are like iconic things, and she was a much bigger deal than she was ever allowed to be because it was the 50s and she had absolutely no recourse.
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really cool knowing going into it, and I look forward to actually like researching all of this and learning
Yeah,
more
for
about
real.
that
Look up,
story.
if anybody out there is interested in that, look up Milicent Patrick. Anything, just I mean, she's a fascinating story. She has a fascinating career. The fact that she was the first female animator at Disney was a big deal. You know, the fact that they wanted to do all these promotional tours with her, you know, was a big deal. And part of it, of course, is because she was stunning. She's very, very beautiful, which a lot of people were, you know, like, oh, like, you would have thought she was one of the actresses or some talent or
Mhm.
whatever, but she was, you know, one of the creators of all of these big ideas. And it's just sad that in her time, she didn't get the full credit she deserved. And I feel like the creature world would look so different if she didn't have that taken away from her, if she was
Yeah,
allowed
I
to
mean,
continue.
the look is so iconic, and it even, I mean, it still looks great. I know in some ways it's like, oh yeah, clearly this is a guy in a suit, but the design of it is so
The
effective and it
design of it
looks
is
so good.
amazing, and the original design was supposed to be a more feminine, like eel-like, slendery creature. But it just, you know, for whatever reason, they ended up going with this. And what I like about the creature from the Black Lagoon's version of the Gillman, the original Gillman, like that's my favorite. When you go into like the second movie or the Revenge of or Return of or whatever, you know, all
Oh,
those
that's right. There's
extra ones.
sequels to this. I guess there would be.
Yeah,
I don't know why I wouldn't think that. Yeah.
they changed the look a little bit, and I think maybe that's to claim more ownership over the design. um
Oh, it's so
but
crappy.
I don't, they're not as good, and the last one is by far the worst.
So don't watch those, is what you're
Well, the
saying.
thing is I haven't actually seen those, but I'm just speaking
Uh-oh.
specifically about the
It's
character
a
design.
trilogy watch on
Yeah,
missing frames.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, but I
We'll
just,
stick with this one.
we'll stick with this one because this one's great. And then I'm excited for you to watch it. And recently, well, a few years ago, for Monster Palooza out here in Los Angeles, they have this big monster convention, and it was the 60th anniversary of the creature from the Black Lagoon. So I went to that one, and I got to meet Julie Adams, who is the lead.
Oh,
And
how cool.
she was super nice, and I also got to meet Riku or Raiku or however you want to, however his name is pronounced, and they both signed. I have pictures of, so they had like black and white, you know, photos of stills from the movie, and I asked Julie if she would pick out her favorite, and I'll send you a picture, and you can like post it with the stuff
Please.
or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I would love to do that.
yeah,
I just
but
want to see
so
them. I
I
don't want to show
asked.
anybody at home. I just want to selfishly enjoy these
Yeah, for
moments by
sure.
myself.
But
Yeah.
so I asked her to pick out her favorite, and she was like, "Oh, okay." And she picked out this great one where she looks stunning and the creature's there. And she wrote, "To Carly, stay out of dark waters, all the best." And like, she was really, really sweet. And I was so excited to meet her, and I was talking to her for a second, and the person who was kind of in charge of the table was like, "Here, give me that. I'm going to put it in this sleeve." And she's like, "No, no, no, no. I don't want the signature to smudge. Don't rush my fans." And like, she was like,
Oh,
she was being so sweet. But the other thing is because she was like 80 something, almost like 90 at the time, I think.
right.
People didn't really
Yeah, she
recognize
just
her, of
died
course.
just a couple years
Yeah, she
ago.
did. She did. So I'm really glad that I got to meet her, but people didn't necessarily know that that's who it was. Um and I don't think as many people who know the creature from the Black Lagoon have actually seen that film still, you know,
Right.
like, so she didn't have like a huge crowd, which I was kind of surprised by, because I was like, it's the 60th anniversary. Why don't people care?
Right.
So she was really sweet, and I got to talk to her for a minute, and I really appreciated that. But then the other guy, when I asked him to pick out his favorite photo, and he was just like, whatever, I'll take this one. And like didn't say anything nice on it. He just signed his name and was like, here you go. And I was like, all right, cool. I was like, I appreciated you. Thanks, man. Like, you know, and it was fine because I'm sure he would do those. He hasn't passed away yet. He's still alive. But
this is the guy who played the creature.
This is the one who did
underwater.
the underwater one. The Ben Chapman was not there.
And you know what's interesting? I'm looking. So this is you said it was Ben Chapman?
No, it was Raikou Browning.
Raikou Browning. So what's interesting about him that I didn't realize, I just looked him up, and he directed the underwater scenes in Thunderball, the James Bond film, and that's insane. That's so funny.
No, it's really cool if you like actually look into this movie and pick apart the different people that are involved or the different departments and stuff. There's a lot of really talented people that have worked on, you know, tons of other projects and, you know, are maybe involved in our lives still today in ways that we don't necessarily realize, like, you know, like that. So
I'm gonna try to guess what it's about real quick.
Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know anything. I mean, I know that.
Okay, well, what do you know? What do you know, first off?
I know there's a creature. I know there's a Black Lagoon. I know basically this woman goes swimming and the creature kind of swims after her underwater and kind of mimics her movements and stuff like that. That's the footage
Because you've seen. Okay.
I've seen like some of the underwater stuff. I haven't seen how they interact with each other. I assume at one point he like carries her out of the water. Like she like is like, oh my gosh, and he carries her out of the water. I assume there's like a handsome heroic man who's like the creatures. It's like maybe like a little bit of a King Kong thing where it's like, we gotta put down that creature because the woman I love is being taken away by the creature. And maybe the creature like King Kong is in love with her. Like he's like, no, I love her and I just want somebody to love me. Maybe she understands. Like maybe she's like, no, don't kill him. But then they kill him because he's a monster and that kind of thing. So I think maybe like those, you know, Beauty and the Beast, when you say that, I think of stuff like, I mean, well, the movie Beauty and the Beast, but also like King Kong and that whole story of like, oh, the monster's not really a monster. He's just misunderstood. So I think there might be a little bit of that in this movie. But I other than that, I don't really know what I'm in for here.
Okay, well, good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say if you're right or wrong about any.
Yeah, you better not.
One of the things that we can talk about is an idea for a movie from the creature's perspective of the ongoings.
Can we? And I even without knowing what the movie is about, I feel like Guillermo del Toro should be the one to write and direct it.
Why? Because of The Shape of Water?
Well, no, because I feel like, I mean, obviously this film has influence on del Toro, but he has such a love for monsters, and I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he did an interview where he talks about watching this movie as a kid and how he was rooting for the creature from the Black Lagoon, not like as like, oh, I'm a terrible, malicious person, I want this monster to kill everybody, but as a like, no, like, I love him. I don't know if that was this movie or something similar.
It
but
wouldn't
like,
surprise me if it were this film.
He just loves, he's the type of person who like, if you're like, okay, we're going to make a Beauty and the Beast type movie, he would be like, I don't want scenes with the Beauty. I want more scenes with the Beast. And like, let's understand.
Let's understand him and his plight and, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe get to know the man behind the gills.
Yeah, and also I just hope Guillermo del Toro is listening to this and is like, I will come on the podcast and I will tell you what my Creature of the Black Lagoon movie will be.
He definitely listens to your podcast.
He's a regular listener, for sure. All the Oscar-winning filmmakers listen to this. This is how they get there. This is how they figure out, like, oh, that's why I enjoy that movie so much.
Yeah, because you've really got your finger on the heartbeat, on the lifeline.
That's 100%. And I'm sure when we come back to discuss this, I will blow your mind and the world's mind with all my brilliance, all my brilliant thoughts about this.
Undoubtedly.
So let's do this. Let's go watch the movie and we will be back to discuss it. Stay tuned.
Now available to own on video cassette.
All right, we're back. Carley, this movie was so much fun. It's a goofy movie, but it's genuinely like suspenseful at points. And I started to think I'm like, oh my God, Steven Spielberg totally robbed all these underwater shots from this movie for Jaws. And
and even the music.
the music and all that stuff. So it's like you can clearly see the influence on
Yes.
the genre. The suit is amazing. I was completely wrong. I thought this was going to be like, maybe I was thinking too much about The Shape of Water and what Guillermo del Toro would have turned this movie into, but
Right.
I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed this is not that different as far as a lot of movies from this era that focus on monsters. Like you can find this in like Godzilla movies or any big monster movies where it's like, oh, I don't really care about these people, but that monster, anytime he's on screen, I am all up for it.
You just want to, yeah, you want to know more about him. And one of the things that I really love about this movie is the very first line. Like it's when you first start watching it, it's almost like a science movie, like an
Yes.
informative, like
In the
your
beginning,
teacher just
God
rolled in
created.
this, yeah. But he said, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and then it goes on, and then later and later, and then it's like, and then all of the animals started to crawl out of the sea. So it's got this funny, like religious thing to it, but clearly
I was
they're all
so
about evolution.
I was like, oh, it's that easy. There's such a division between like, oh, do you believe in God? Do you believe in evolution? And this movie is like, hey, we can
Both.
believe in everything. Why not?
Yeah, it's
very
both.
subversive.
No, so I absolutely loved that. And I don't know, that's just kind of a funny thing that I don't think I ever really like noticed too much before about that, because even when we watched The 7-Year Itch in the beginning, like all of these
Yes.
old movies start
That's
at the beginning of time because they've got to give you the context. Like
Oh my
it
God,
doesn't
you're right.
start
I
where
didn't
it
even
starts.
remember
It
that.
starts in the creation of Earth. Like,
It's we have to just remind you, like this is
Yeah.
where we came from. It's like, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, monster movie. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it's a very like it is, you have to kind of put aside, maybe this is preaching to the choir, but like you have to put aside the fact that yes, it was made in the early 50s. Yes, it's black and white, and yes, it's a little hokey. We've come to the point where in the 21st century, scary movies and monster movies are elegant. They're genuinely terrifying, and so obviously, yes, this movie is dated and it's cheesy. But I'll be honest with you. I think the stuff that is goofy is when the monster's on the land, like when he's like walking around like
Oh yeah, I mean, because
Frankenstein.
he's got this kind of Frankenstein, like
Yes.
zombie walk
And
to
the
him.
suit,
Of course.
the suit looks great. We'll talk all about
Yeah.
the suit and all the stuff with Milicent Patrick and all that stuff. But like the suit looks great. So I'll be clear about that. It's just the goofiness of like, oh, it's a guy in a suit. However,
Right.
the underwater stuff was like
Oh,
genuinely creepy.
beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's
It
so
looks
cool.
amazing.
And to imagine how they filmed that at the time, considering that these people are fully like submerged underwater and you see them like their full forms. So it's not like there's a camera trick where there's a hose somewhere tucked away where they can breathe. So it's like it's dangerous to get these shots. The actors, were
Yeah.
having to be given oxygen to stay under, so they didn't have to come back up all the time. And
wasn't
like
wasn't what's his name, the guy who Riku, I guess Riku
Browning.
Browning, he
Yeah.
he couldn't have a tank because the director was like,
No.
no, we're gonna see the air bubbles, we have to believe the
Yes.
creatures breathing underwater. So he would go for like 4 minutes at a time without
Yeah,
any,
and there was
like-
a diver down there too if he needed air, that they could come give him some air so he could take a breath, so they didn't have to fully reset.
right. That's terrifying.
Yeah, so there's like all kinds of great stuff like that. But okay, so one of the things I want to talk about is when you watched this movie, I watched
Were
it
you
as
at my house? Were you watching?
No, but when you watch this movie, like I watched it with the perspective of like I'm totally empathizing with this creature. So in every single scene that you see him in, I have like a justification for his behavior if it is at all somewhat considered violent or angry. Because if you look at it that way, there are genuine moments where he's trying to be nice And they're
Yeah.
just shooting at him and hitting him and
Or they're
being
like
mean to
screaming
him.
at him and like terrified, and
Yeah,
he's just like,
and
"What the
like
hell, guys?"
the first time you see any sign of him is after they find that hand in the rock, which
Yeah.
I'm sorry, who excavates fossils like that? Like he just crank and ripped it out. Like you don't do that.
That's the way the professionals did it in the
Right.
1950s. They were just like, "Here you go."
In my mind, the Gill Man is at some maybe like
Like a
uh
holy temple or something, like
yes,
a
yeah,
shrine to his
that could be
people.
his grandparent.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't know. So these people just came and ripped off an arm of
Right, they're
either
grave
some
robbers. They're grave
yes.
robbers.
So he's just so when you see him next and he shows up in the campsite, he might be like walking into the tent to be like, "Hey guys, give me that back," you
That's it.
know.
Yeah, he's like,
But
"Please."
they just immediately choose violence and throw things at him
Typical
because he's
humans.
different, you know?
Yeah. No,
Because he's
that's
different
true.
and also the way that he kills people, it's like he just grabs their faces.
Yeah, he just wants to hug them.
Yeah, he's just like, "Shh, stop, stop, stop." Like that's
Yeah,
what
he
he's doing
doesn't
and I think
know.
he's too
He
strong and
doesn't
he's like,
understand.
"Oh,
Yeah, he doesn't understand like the logistics of hugging, and
no."
he just
Because I don't think he's ever been held, you
yeah,
know?
and that's all he's. I think that's what he's expressing in that. He's just
Yeah.
like, "Please teach me," but then it just gets a little carried away,
Yeah, and I
and
love like when you're meeting all of these characters, like how you meet Kay and like how she's like showing how David's down, under, let me jingle on this thing and he'll come up and
right.
she's explaining about all the science stuff and oh okay cool and then Captain Lucas, the Popeye
By the way,
captain
when
on
she
the
talks
boat.
about like, oh, he's decompressing, like he needs to come up slowly, does that ever play a part in the movie again? Is that the
They
only time
bring
that's
it up
ever
about how they came up too quickly. And
okay?
then when later on when Mark, well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I
That's
think part of his issue was he was also being, passed out and then raised up too quickly
hmm
from the depths below. So that probably contributed a little bit to his demise,
That's true. That's
you
very
know?
true. So no, I like I said, the characters in these kinds of movies, this is not a fault of this movie. There are movies that do it better. I did mention the original Godzilla, I think, does a better job of human characters in these movies are not typically the reason you go to see them.
No,
Godzilla does a
no.
slightly better job of making it a little bit more connected. King Kong, maybe, even though that is kind of the same. I got some King Kong vibes from this, just in terms of like, we're going to go to this mysterious place to find this thing that we want to bring back with us. But
Mhm.
the characters in this, it's like there's the scientist who wants to learn about it.
Yes.
There's the scientist who wants to shoot the thing. Like he's
Mark,
just,
yeah.
yeah, Mark.
He's the like the cocky bad boy
Yeah,
scientist.
he's like, I just want to shoot it. And then Kay, is she dating David?
She's dating David, but they explain that
She used to be with
she was
Mark?
Mark. No, she was never dating Mark.
Okay.
Mark was her like her tutor. So she was
Oh.
going to school and was like a research assistant. And they even
Oh.
say that, he's even taking credit for your research, Kay. Like he wouldn't have some of the work if that he has now if it wasn't for your findings for what
Oh, how
you helped
interesting.
him
There's
with.
a parallel there with Millicent, I think.
And right? And so then they also later on there's a point where David is getting annoyed with Mark and she's like, "Please try to understand." And she's trying to calm David down and she's, saying like, "Well, he's been like this." And so obviously David has like come along and joined on whatever science thing and she had been working with Mark for however long. So maybe there's some jealousy there. Like they never
Mm.
really get into that, but you
No.
see
No.
Kay and David kissing and Mark is really bothered by that and
He's like,
like and then
oh.
he's even like, "Oh, aren't you worried about me too?" Like and he gets very jealous.
Yeah. Well, that's it. There's some like there's semi attempts at like, oh, is there a love triangle here? Is there
Mhm.
melodrama? But it really, your description of it, honestly, is more interesting than what it
No,
is
but
in the
the thing is,
movie.
okay, so let me point this out for you. So firstly, that happens, and then the tent, and then he ends up killing those two guys.
Yes, yes.
Then he sees them come into his land again, and they're they take a plant. They've been swimming around. They're take some rocks. That, oh, let me take this plant. They see him take the plant, and then, or he sees them take the plant. They swim back, and David gives that little leafy thing to Kay, and she's like, oh. And the whole time
That's right. He's like,
the
I got
creature
this for you. And she says,
yeah,
oh, it's very pretty. And I was like,
yeah,
Is
it's
it?
clearly a plastic plant. Like, but so then, oh, and also while they're swimming underwater, I couldn't. The amount of awkward, just down Main Street shots of their crotches, like that just got me, and I was like laughing about that. And it's the fact that they filmed all of this underwater is amazing, anyway. So
Well,
but it was just.
I think it's amazing at all that these people are like, the Black Lagoon. That sounds like a nice place. There's one point where somebody says, oh, yes, the Black Lagoon. It's a paradise. And it's like, the Black Lagoon doesn't sound. That sounds like
Captain
terrifying.
Lucas says that, and he's like, well, it sounds like paradise, but no one knows because no one's ever come back.
It sounds, yes. It's like, wait,
Yeah,
why is
nobody ever comes back from there. And Mark goes, we will.
Mark's he's so headstrong.
Yeah,
What a
but
cocky dude.
So they bring all this stuff back up, and the whole time the creature's like watching them through the water, and he sees Kay. Oh, and also, yeah, when they notice that those two guys are dead and Kay's standing off by herself, firstly, she is wearing shorts that are way too short for an explorer in a tropic area like that. The amount of bugs and, you don't know what. Yeah. She's got great legs, so I get it. But
I think, I think we know what's going on here.
And then later on, she's in more work-appropriate outfits. It's like, why wasn't she in explorer outfits the whole time? But
Kay has an interesting vibe about her in that she doesn't quite dress for the occasion, and also I don't mean to interrupt. This is just a random thought I had, but like if I'm swimming in a lagoon called the Black Lagoon with the full knowledge of a monster being somewhere in this water, I am the type of look, I can freak myself out in a swimming pool, like in the middle of the night, and I can be like, oh my gosh, do you think there's like a monster in here? I like my friends and I used to freak each other out all the time. Like, do you think there's a monster in this swimming pool? Like a shark is gonna, and we would just freak each other out. You can do that. So it's like, if I'm swimming in a lake in the middle of a jungle,
hard pass,
and I feel something brush up against me, my instinct is I am out of here. Kay's instinct with her, like, I'm gonna wear my booty shorts while hanging out in the jungle, is something brushed against me. Let me go underwater and find out what it is.
Let's look around down here. After the captain has told her that there are 9-foot catfish swimming around.
I'm like, Kay, get out of the water. Put some clothes on.
You couldn't have paid me enough money to jump into that water.
No. I just want to say Kay is maybe not the best role model for young explorers. Like, don't dress like Kay. Don't dive in the water to find like, oh, something with sharp nails tried to grab me.
Maybe use the buddy system.
Use the buddy system. Just think about it.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe also let everyone know that that's what you're doing. Because you're like, no, I'll stay up here. Everyone's gone. Splash. But so I think he sees her like this plant. And then they all go down, to work on their rocks and get their samples and stuff, which I don't know what technology they're using, but that like carbon dating was fast.
It was great.
Got those results real quick. But so she jumps in the water, and he's like already taken notice of her, because before, when they discovered those two guys are dead and she's standing off by herself, he kind of starts to reach his hand out. And my whole interpretation of that is he's just like, oh, how do I say hello to this lady?
Yeah.
Let me not scare her too badly. And then as she walks away, it does that like back up, whatever. So then when they're swimming and he sees her swimming, he doesn't try to attack her. He doesn't try to do anything to her. It's this beautiful scene of them like mirroring one another, of him mirroring her and how she's swimming. And then he's like so enamored and is like, what is that beautiful thing? Like,
and Julie Adams, I think,
as much of a creature to him as he is to her.
Yeah, and Julie Adams, I think, referred to the scene as a love scene in general. So it's very
really
intimate and almost romantic.
It is very romantic, and then he swims down and like is in the seaweed just watching her, and then she starts doing those flips in the water, and he's just like, "Oh, baby," like wow,
This is just to bring it back to Guillermo del Toro. I sent you this interview. I don't know if you
I
had a chance.
watched that. I
So
watched that.
I love that he assumed, and maybe rightfully so, as a kid watching this movie for the first time, he thought like, oh great, they're gonna fall in love with each other. And
Yeah.
part of his reason for making Shape of Water is because that decidedly did not happen. And he's like, well, I'm gonna make the movie where the Gill Man does get the girl.
Well, that's the thing, is the Gill Man never got the chance, to shoot his shot. So it goes, like
Okay, yeah.
he so when he's swimming around, he sees her and he goes up, and like that whole thing where he's gonna touch her and stuff, he doesn't grab at her. I think he's just trying to be like, hi,
Yeah.
like hello. And she gets all freaked out, and then they come get her. And so then she gets up on the boat, and he gets caught in that net, probably trying to swim back. So then it starts
Right.
thrashing around, and he's, I'm sure, upset because he's like, well, what's she doing with those jerks? They stole that arm of one of my relatives,
Right.
probably. They're stealing plants out of my place. They're
Yeah.
just being real jerks. And he's probably thinking, you know what, I need to get her out of there, because she's too good for these guys. Like,
And he's not wrong. He's not
he's
wrong.
not wrong. So then he's like swimming with her, and then when they go back down in, after they've noticed on the net like that claw is in there, and they're like, that's no catfish, or like whatever, and they're,
Right.
that's not a tree branch. I don't know what tree would leave behind this kind of thing. And so then they go back in, and they got the Mark has the harpoon gun, and they literally just are shooting at him for swimming. Like, he
That's
hasn't
true.
attacked them or approached them at all. Like, he in the water, at least, like, he hasn't tried to go after them, and they shoot him. So now it's like, oh, okay, well, you guys are violent and dangerous, so I need to treat you as if you're violent and dangerous.
Right.
And then they start poisoning all of the water to
Yeah.
try and, knock
Ruining
him
his
out.
home.
They're doing all this terrible stuff, and in that part where they're poisoning the water, there's a shot where the Gill Man kind of like looks up at the water, from the water, and Kay is sitting there smoking. And in my mind, I was like, he's thinking like, oh man, she's really unhappy. They're driving her to smoke, and that's not good for her health. And
Yeah, he's concerned
like,
for her
they're,
well-being.
yeah, like, if you look at it through that lens of him like just being in love with her, and them, like, him not trying to hurt anybody, cuz even in the scene where he actually at one point picks her up, she fell over as he was like trying to approach her, and she like is screaming, and he's not like doing an attacking thing. To me, it looks like he's like, hold on,
Let me
wait.
help you up.
And
Let me
she
help you.
falls over, and he's like, oh, let me pick you up and help you. And she's still screaming and flailing around. Like, I genuinely feel like the Gill Man was just really like in love with this woman and thought that she was in harm's
So
way.
it is a King Kong scenario. It is.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. It's like
Yeah.
the monster loves the girl and nobody understands.
And it's not his fault he looks the way he looks, and she's not
No.
attracted to that, like, she's already taken, to be fair, she
Yes,
wants
that's
to marry
true.
David.
He should have
He doesn't
respected
know
those
that.
boundaries. That's right.
He doesn't know that, and looking at what these guys are doing, he's like, these people are terrible. Why would such a treasure be with such turds?
That's it. That's it.
That's how I look at it, and how I can, like, I don't know, just appreciate it in a way where it's not like such a terrible like creature, but he's a really nice guy, and he's just misunderstood, and his whole problem is he's a 2 that likes 10s.
That's it.
There are
That's
plenty
it.
of people that can relate.
People can relate to that, and I think that's what Guillermo del Toro was saying. He was like, we know, he's like, there are people in life, all of us feel like outsiders, so you watch a movie like this and you see the outsider trying to understand beauty or wanting to be a part of it, and people just shunning him and kicking him away. And I think that that interpretation now that you go through it, I think it's spot on. I can agree with you. And I know at the end, Sarah, my wife, was watching it with me, and she was like, I just feel bad for him. Like, they're just shooting at him. Like, what's going on?
They're just shooting at him. They're messing with his house. Like, they're just messing with all of his stuff. And as they're going into the Black Lagoon, they talk about how, like, these lands are untouched, and the plants and the animals are all living the way that they did in prehistoric times because man hasn't ruined this yet. And here come these men ruining it.
Yeah. That's what men do. Like, they just don't, they don't understand. They blow things up and they hate everything different.
There's just this sense of entitlement to things and places if another, like, human is not occupying those things or places.
We have to divide and conquer.
Yeah, and it's like weird because, well, another thing, like, Mark the whole time is just wanting to take him dead. You know, he doesn't want to take this thing alive. And
So
David's
to
like,
be
no.
let's be nice to the humans, because Mark is the one who's like, I want to kill this thing, and
Yes.
David is the one who's like, no. And even at the end,
We're here
he's
for
like,
fossils.
no, let it, he's like, let it go. We, like, don't hurt it. Let it escape. We don't have to kill it.
I think, David is great, and the fact that, like, the creature attacks him is entirely due to his association with Mark.
I think that's got to be it.
He is swimming around with him. He looks the same as him. You know, he's got the scuba stuff on, the shorts, whatever. Like, if you're looking at, like, oh, that's a fish, those are two of the same fish, you know?
Right.
So he's looking at it like, oh, these are bad guys. So they've been violent to me. So I need to approach them with violence because they're not going to be nice to me.
They've already shot me. Well, that's the thing. It's like they see him and then they, like, have the harpoon gun and shoot him almost immediately. So he's just
Can
like,
I
all
tell
right,
you
that's
one
how
of
it's
my
going to be.
favorite lines from this movie?
Please.
Okay, it's, how is he? He's dead. And I also love when the one doctor, after he gets wounded and you see him and he's just in the bed covered with face bandages.
Yes.
And when Mark and David get into that fight, they're literally punching each other into the wounded guy.
I think that's amazing. It's such a funny moment. But what's funnier is when the gill man is coming into the room and the guy with the bandages is just like,
it's just his
not
eyes.
Again! Like, he just starts screaming.
And he can't scream or talk, and all you see are his eyes all big. And,
yeah, he's just I was just like, oh, this guy can't catch a break. I think my favorite line, I loved the Black Lagoon, a paradise. And I was like, this guy has not seen the marketing for this movie. He does not realize how silly that sounds.
no.
I also love the at the very beginning when they find the hand and the guy says, we'll take one more picture, then we'll dig it out. And I'm like, why do you need to take one more picture? Why would you say that at all? Like, what's the extra picture for?
With the I'm no scientist or archaeologist or anything, but I'd be willing to
not like
bet,
these guys.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet that they did that wrong. Like, he just took what was it, a big old pickaxe and, like, crank.
He was just, like, yanking it and trying to get it out of the
No,
like,
they would
preserve
have,
that
like,
thing.
all of that blocked off, and they'd be taking tiny little chisels and trying to break away the rock from the bone to see how far into it goes. They wouldn't just pull it out and be like, that's good.
Yeah. And the thing, to be fair, also the thing seems very sturdy. They were able to get it out of there, no problem, no damage whatsoever. So maybe they just knew they didn't have to be gentle or try to preserve it or anything. They're the experts. I'm not gonna argue with them. I think they clearly knew.
Yeah, they did get the degrees from the what was it, the University of Biologica Maritime.
Yeah. That sounds legit. So do we want to talk about, you brought up Milicent Patrick in the beginning.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
Let's do this. So I looked into it because you asked me to, and I always do the things you ask me to because I want to be cool, or I want to look cool in your eyes.
You want to be that cool guy.
So I looked this up, and the whole thing, I mean, you spelled it out, but it's funny now that you mentioned the parallels of, like, oh yeah, this guy's been stealing your research case, or not stealing your research, but taking credit for the research you've done. And that's essentially what happened here, where Milicent Patrick was brought on to design the creature. And I think Bud Westmore, who was he was the makeup guy for Universal. He was a
Yes.
name guy, and like you said, there
Yes.
was a whole industry around his family, and
The
they
Westmore family are just all phenomenal artists. Like, there's no
yes,
getting around that. But this whole Bud Westmore thing has really got me salty.
it is. Well, I can't blame you. And what happened was Bud Westmore allegedly, or I guess reportedly, was not great at monster makeup. Like he was good at
No,
normal makeup.
yeah, which is why they had other people working on this stuff. And he very well may have like made a adjustment or a design choice in something here and there, but like the creature was really Millicent's. It was
That's
not
it.
his.
And what I think what happened was, if I could make some assumptions here, I
Mhm.
think Millicent comes in, makes this amazing creature design that everyone's like, "Oh, wow, you like this is incredible." And Bud's feeling a little dejected because no one likes his monsters, and he's supposed to be the expert, and he's the dude, and he's feeling a little emasculated. He's feeling a little bit like this woman can't just come in
Yeah.
here and show me up. I'm the universal expert. So what happened was then Universal did the whole marketing thing. I think you talked about this, like just like
Mhm.
they were going to send her out to do like the
Yeah,
press
the
junkets
beauty
and
who created the beast is what they were
exactly.
calling that tour.
And that made him really mad. He's like, she
Oh,
didn't
big
create it.
time.
I created
Mhm.
it. She just she drew what I wanted her to draw. I described it to her. He like made up all this stuff. So then
Mhm.
Universal was like, okay, well, how about the beauty who lives with the beast? Like she was just
Yes.
gonna go around with the masks and like we'll do that. And even that, Bud could not. He's like, no, I don't like that. So he basically made them like remove her from all
Yeah.
that press stuff, and then he removed her credit from the
Yep.
movie and then
Yep.
fired her.
Yep. And then
And
she was blackballed in Hollywood for almost the rest of her career.
yeah, and I looked up her like there's some sketchy stuff in her own life. Like there's something.
Oh, of
Did you hear
course.
about this there's this affair that like she was having an affair with who ended up being her first husband, this guy Paul Fitzpatrick. And this is why
Mhm.
she was at Disney. And Fitzpatrick was married, and Fitzpatrick's wife killed herself when she
Oh
learned about the
gosh.
affair. Not only killed herself, but killed her unborn child in the
Oh
process.
jeez.
And then here's what makes me be like, Milicent Patrick, sure, as far as makeup goes, and as far as this scenario, she was totally wrong, but this gives me really icky vibes. Apparently, after that happened, after the suicide happened, uh, Paul Fitzpatrick was like, well, do you want to get married? And Millicent was like, absolutely. And it's like, it feels really weird to me.
It does. But at the same time, the other side of that is who knows what this man was telling Millicent.
That's very true.
You
That
know,
is
who
very true. You
knows
don't
if he
know.
was like, "Oh, we're separated. She's crazy. No, 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 no. I'm leaving her." You know, like so that to be devil's advocate on that, like we don't know the intricacies of that relationship, but I think I would have a hard time marrying somebody whose wife just committed suicide with their unborn child.
Yeah, yeah. So I think, and to be fair, mental health obviously was not looked upon with as much nuance
No.
as the scientists and archaeologists show the creature from the Black Lagoon in this film.
Yeah.
But like, I think back then too, it was like, oh, she killed herself. Clearly, she was wrong and she was
Well, and
evil and
also,
crazy.
Sean, if you think about it, in a way, them getting married legitimized whatever their affair was. So it
Yeah,
almost kind of got rid of the immorality of that in a way, because it's like, well, it was true love and they did get married. So,
right. No, that's true. That's a good point. So this is to say, like Mills. It's not to say like she was perfect by any means, but in this
no.
case, like for sure, it's this dude totally screwed her over, and like
Well, and
she,
also,
like you.
like, did you look at any of the other creature from the Black Lagoon, like two
Oh
and
my
three?
God, did I ever? So there was the
Do you
first
see how
sequel.
bad those are?
Yeah, the first sequel. So I watched the trailer. It's called Revenge of the Creature,
Right.
and I think Revenge of
He
the
has
Creature.
much bigger lips in that one.
Yeah, and I think this is also Clint Eastwood's one of his first appearances.
Oh.
He's lab technician Jennings, and he's not even credited,
Oh.
but this was one of his first appearances. But yeah,
That's
I was
amazing.
watching that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it doesn't look as bad in that one, but then the next one, it's not even the same design. It's not even
Yeah.
like the same creature.
It's
like
like it. Okay, you know what that one reminds me of a little bit? The
Have you seen all
Goombas
these? Have you
from
seen
no,
them?
no, no. I've seen the images of them and
Okay.
I've seen like clips of them or whatever. But the third creature suit reminds me of the Goombas from Super Mario Brothers.
Yes. And he even has like the small head and the oversized like
Yes.
coat. I that's spot on. Yeah, it's real like it's real bad. They banked off the
Yeah.
success of like, oh, this creature design is amazing. They screwed Milicent
Mhm.
over, and then like basically they screwed. Like, I guess I don't know if they felt like, oh, we have to design our own better creature just to get away from all this drama, but they just
Yeah.
made it look worse and worse and worse with each
Yeah,
sequel.
and what I really loved about this suit in particular is like what you had said about the underwater stuff, like
Yeah,
the movement that they got in the gills and just the way that this suit was designed was like it was done
it's
so well
amazing.
for the movement because it like I don't know like if you noticed like with his pattern he's got like kind of these layers like plates of scales and
Yeah.
with that breakup it gives the suit so much better movement where it doesn't look stiff and it doesn't buckle in ways that makes it look like a guy's wearing a suit. And because he didn't have tanks on him, he was literally glued into that thing. Like they'd put a body stocking on and then it took about 3 hours to get him in and out of the suit, but they would glue him from head to toe in this suit with the body stocking. So it moved really well with all of his movements and then those moments where he's breathing and the gills are moving and expanding for the time that was so amazing. Like even today there's stuff that comes out that doesn't look that good.
Oh, I know. Well, it's so incredible. And it's effective too. Like the monster, like I said, when he's walking and he's Frankenstein out on land, it's kind of like, that's why
Yeah.
it's like when I watch the trailers for these sequels, he spends so much time on the land and I'm like, that was a
No,
bad
put him in
idea.
the water.
Put him in the water. That's what he's there for. And
Yeah.
the whole thing with, you mentioned the goggles, like Bud was
Mm-hmm.
talking about, like, oh, goggles, I'll put goggles in the suit. And the actor who's swimming underwater is like, no, don't do that. That actually makes
No,
it
because one of
worse.
the things that happens when you're wearing goggles, like anybody who like scuba dives and stuff, like when you get certified, one of the things you have to do is like flood your goggles and then be able to blow air in your goggles to get
Yeah,
the water out. So he wouldn't have been able to do that, and his goggles would have just been completely flooded all of the time. So it's like, if that's the case, I'm just not going to wear goggles.
right. Yeah. So all this stuff, like the design is impeccable and it's amazing and it works really well. It's effectively creepy, and him swimming around and grabbing people
It
and the
looks
hand coming
so
out of the
good
water.
underwater. Like it
It
really, really does.
it does. And
And the way that they have him like diving in and out of the plants and stuff and hiding in the plants and kind of like retreating into the plants, it's just it works so
it
well.
is. It's actually like it is. I think it even works today, even as like, oh, it's an old black and white kind of hokey movie. It
Hmm.
works really well. Like that stuff feels like it kind of gives you goosebumps in a way. It's sort of
Oh yeah.
just
And the
the
fact that they don't reveal him completely at first, and even
totally.
when
I
you
love
see
that.
him, yeah, you just see the hand, you see his foot, you maybe see the top of his head or something, but you don't see the whole thing. And then when you do get to see the whole thing of him, it's like, oh, cool. And then,
Yes.
and then he's swimming around and they really show off the suit, which I loved. And it wasn't like there was a lot of stuff where it's like, oh, they had to hide that or, oh, well, this doesn't look good today. Maybe it looked good then. But everything still, I think today it holds up so well.
I think so too. And that's again to talk about Jaws so clearly. This movie so clearly influenced like the
Yes.
idea of like you hide the monster, keep it in the shadows, and then you reveal it in all its glory.
Hmm.
This movie doesn't wait as long as Jaws does, but this movie's also like uh, half the running length, or not half the running length, but it's a fraction of the
It's
running
like
length.
it's not even 88 minutes.
No, it's a
Yeah,
short
it's
movie,
short.
but it's
What I would love is for somebody to take all of the cuts of when he's swimming around and it seems like it's like dangerous music, like that Jaws music. If
mhm.
they played some really flowery romantic stuff, because it would completely change the tone and everyone would see it through the lens that I see it
That you
through, where
see it.
he's not bad and he's in love.
You and Guillermo del Toro, I think, should team up for a massive film project and it's really not that massive. You just take
Where
footage
we
from the
right the
movie.
wrongs of all of the creatures who have
Is there
been.
anybody out there who can get in touch with Mr. Del Toro and let's make this a reality? We
I'm
don't need
sure.
him. We really don't need him. It's literally we could just get some footage and add some new music to it. But I'm just
Well, and
looking
the
for an
thing
excuse to hang out with him.
is I feel like honestly, like in that clip that you sent me, he says it, but I do think that The Shape of Water, he did right the wrong of the people not empathizing with the creature.
Yes.
So in The Shape of Water, you really do empathize with that creature, and you do see that that lady loves him. And like the whole time I was watching that movie, I was like, oh well, there's kind of like that weird thing, like of it being like, well, he's a fish person and she's a human, but then with her like not actually being a human, oh okay, then that makes a lot more sense.
It's all
Then it's
sweet.
not as then it's very very sweet and a lot more endearing, and maybe the weird like bestiality connotations that you had thought of before, it's like, oh well, it's not actually like that.
Right.
But
Right.
in this sense, it would, she is 100% a human lady, and that is 100% a fish person. So
And it's 100% awesome.
yeah,
But
it's so good.
what else? Is there anything else we want to touch on that we haven't already?
Let me see. What else did I have written down? I had just some fun stuff just about how they
Oh,
were.
I have a fun fact.
Oh yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
This is so Ingmar Bergman, one of my favorite filmmakers. This is the guy who did
Okay.
Seventh Seal and Persona and
Uh-huh.
Wild Strawberries. One of the greatest filmmakers of all time. Apparently, he watched this movie every year on his birthday,
What a great tradition.
which gives me so much joy. That was on IMDb trivia. I hope that's true. That
I hope
makes me
that's true
so
too.
happy.
That's wonderful.
Yes, so that's my
Everybody should
little
watch this
tidbit.
movie on their birthday.
I think so too.
Really, it's suitable for any day of the year, but definitely, a celebratory thing is a good reason to pull it out. It's one of those things that I pray that nobody tries to reboot it or remake it,
Oh,
because
they will. I know they were talking about it, and then they wanted. Remember the
not. But
Tom
the thing
Cruise?
is after The Shape of Water came out, I feel like I'm glad that that came out, because it was enough of this to give people that without having to take away from Creature from the Black Lagoon and remaking it in a way where fans who love the original, which I guess now are, more far and few between because this movie's over 65 years old now. So like,
But they have people like you to keep the spirit alive, and I
yeah,
think
and it's
you can't do much better than. I mean, The Shape of Water made tons of money. It won Best Picture, Best Direct. Like, I
right.
mean, like that's about as far as a success story goes. If you remake this movie, you're not gonna get on that level. So just leave it.
No.
Let's
Yeah,
let it
just leave it,
happen.
because like one of the movies that was remade that initially I was very upset about being remade was Evil Dead. But
Right.
I understand why that was remade, because Evil Dead was accidentally perfect and accidentally created like a whole lane for just outlandish horror where
Yes.
it's ridiculous and silly and scary, and they did not intend for that to be the case. Like they wanted
Right.
it to be scary, but the technology wasn't there, the budget wasn't there. It just, that movie ended up being funny. And so they leaned into that. So I could understand why, okay, well, this is how we originally wanted it to be. So let's try and do that. This movie was, in my opinion, I don't understand how you could make it any better. I mean, maybe like if we cared more about the individual characters, but
Yeah,
this
but do we
movie,
really need to at the end of
no,
the
you
day?
don't need to. I feel like you just need to really care about the creature.
And
And
we
so,
do.
yeah, if anybody remade this, I'd be very upset because there's no reason to remake this. Like, it didn't fall short of what it was trying to do when it came out. In fact, it was inspiration for so much. So it would be like, you know, I guess this is maybe a silly thing to say, but for me, it would be almost like, well, the Bible was great, but let's rewrite it.
They do.
People
I
would
mean,
be
I
pissed
do that
about
on
it.
the
And there are
regular.
a bunch of different versions of it where it's like, no, but that's not the real one. Like,
Right.
so there's no reason to remake this for what it is. Like Guillermo del Toro's was a new idea on that and a new angle on it where that makes sense to do it like that. So
In
I
the
pray
beginning, God created the Gill Man, and he saw that it was good.
he saw that
That's
it
it.
was perfect.
He saw that it was perfect. The end. No remakes. That's
No remakes. Yeah. Well, and I wonder because of how short it is, if there are any deleted scenes or anything that ended up on the cutting room
yeah. I
floor
don't
because
know.
it's not very long. And
No, and
I
I don't think
forget
it.
about that, and every
I
time
don't.
it's like an hour and 20 max.
Yeah, and I don't think it. This is a time where movies like this were that length, and it was
Yeah.
fine. Like you didn't need it to be longer, and they knew they
No, there
could get
wasn't
like
a
people
rule
into the
about it
theater, make
needing
some
to be
money.
88 minutes
Yeah, so
to be feature length.
I think it's I think it's perfectly fine. I agree. It's like a movie that you could remake, but between movies like Jaws and The Shape of Water, we have the spirit of this film lives on, and we don't need to. We've perfected the things this movie gave to cinema. We've perfected them with other movies, and it's like there's
Mhm.
no reason to go back to this because it's just going to be a situation where you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that
Well, and
already.
it would also be a situation where I feel like you're discrediting the original at that point.
Yeah. So
It's like, well,
I
what's the
agree.
point of remaking that? It was
I
fine.
don't
Like,
like
you don't need
remakes
to
in
do that.
general. Like in general, there's some good remakes, but like
I
when it
really
comes,
enjoyed the Jumanji reboot.
yes, there's some
Honestly, I,
good things out there, but in this case, I
yeah,
think leave it alone.
yeah. There's no reason to, and
No,
I'm really appreciative of the fact that like I get to be your Sherpa through these classics. You
I
know,
am so happy that you are as well. I'm so happy to get to watch these movies, that I have such an educated and brilliant archaeologist who knows how to remove the hand from the soil and gift it to me and enlighten me in my life. But I mean, it was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's one of my favorite movies, but I think it's definitely well worth a watch. It's clear that its influence is wide ranging
yes.
and merited. And
And the
I don't.
thing is this, I wouldn't say this is my favorite movie of all time. And it's hard for me to even pick my number one favorite, but this is definitely up there. And for me, it has, my own personal reasons just because, I'm working in the industry that makes stuff like this. So this was a
Yeah,
huge inspiration for me. And it was just such a fun movie to watch. And how I had said, I really wasn't good at watching like current monster movies or horror movies because they scared me too much, and watching these older classics really helped me, kind of like when you're afraid of roller coasters, you go on like the baby
the
roller
baby one.
coasters
Yep.
and you build your way up. Like these movies are kind of like that because they're so old that some of the gags are cheesier and less realistic and less believable, so you're not as scared, but there still are those moments of suspense.
So what do you think? Final ratings? Do we want to do Gilman? Do we want to do
um
how many Gilman would you give Creature from the Black
How
Lagoon?
how many people would you murder?
How many people's would you hug their heads to death for Creature of the Black Lagoon?
All of them.
All of them.
No,
Every last
I
one.
would give it a 5.
Okay.
If that's the scale we're doing, and I'm always overly generous, I think, because I'll find something in any movie that I'm like, no, well that was amazing. The story might have been terrible, but the costumes, did you see the lighting and the set design? Like I get really excited about that stuff, and this movie holds such a special place in my heart that I could not give it anything less than a 5.
I understand that. Don't hate me. I'm going to give it a 3, But
What, Shawn?
I know
I think that's the lowest you've rated anything that we've watched
that's
together.
not
Now I'm
that is
offended.
not true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
That
is.
is not true. Not true. How dare you?
What did you rate Westworld?
Westworld was lower than this, I think.
Okay.
I don't think Westworld was
because I don't think you've given anything lower than a 4.
No, I think Clue I maybe gave 3.5 or a 3.
So Clue gets more than this? Are you kidding?
This but yeah,
I'm
7 Year Itch.
offended.
7 Year Itch got 3.5. Some Like It Hot got 5. So yeah,
Oh
I
God,
mean
that
maybe,
movie's so
but like
good.
that's not to say I didn't like it. I liked it. I've just sat here and I've told you
I
that
understand your reasoning because it really is not the most fast-paced movie.
I thought you were going to say I understand your reasoning, but you're also completely wrong.
Well, yeah, I was getting to it. No, but I get that. I get that perspective. I get that rating.
I'll say
I feel like you
wish
just told me that my kid competed poorly.
I know, and that's why I
or
say
that
it
you
with
just
love.
told me my dog was ugly.
I say it with love, but Carly, you got an ugly dog. No, your dog is actually adorable. Your dog is the best.
He is the sweetest.
I think
he loves this movie and he's offended.
I think this is a fine movie. I think the creature design, the underwater stuff, and the creepiness of it is great. I think what I want from it is maybe more stuff with people I care about. But I don't know. Lots of these monster movies don't have that in general, so I don't know if that's really a fault. Honestly,
Oh,
it's
and
just a personal thing.
I wanted to ask you your opinion of Captain Lucas because he to me was just like such a fun character and he was like Popeye with his little hat and his cigar and I don't know, like he was this fun little comedic relief for the story that I feel like there's so much story to that captain, but we never really get to know
That's
him.
what I want. I wanted more to learn more about these people because what happens is once they start studying the creature, they're all basically like the creature, and it's like, wait, what about you people? What do you care? Like one of you wants to kill him, the other wants to study him, but like you said, Captain Lucas is a great example. It's like, who's this guy? What does he care about? Like, what does he want out of life?
What's he all about?
Yes, exactly.
What
so
gets his goat?
That's it. That's what I wanted. I wanted a little bit more of that, but no, it's a good movie. Everyone should watch it.
Your voice went up at the end. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. I'm trying to I feel like I'm being attacked. I feel like your dog doesn't like me, and I just want your dog to love me.
Well, you just told him he's ugly, so
No,
I don't know what you expect.
I would never do that.
I think anybody who has not watched this movie should watch it if you are into just cinema history and understanding
and horror movies and monster movies
and not even just that, like I mean just there was a lot of really cool stuff about the way it was shot. So like if you're interested in cool underwater shots or just effect stuff like that, like I think it's been an inspiration for a lot, and it would be a shame to not see that and not have the appreciation for it and see all of these other things that and love and be like, oh man, they might have got that from this, or oh,
they
that's just like this.
Oh yeah, there's so much stuff. They for sure did. Well, I have been officially schooled. I am ready to face the world with this new knowledge.
Good fish pun?
I think so. That was absolutely 100% intentional. And I thank you, Carly, for once again coming back and introducing me to this beautiful film. I don't know what we're going to do next time. I feel like you've been introducing me to things, and now I've got to come up with one for you. So
all right, well, we'll do it.
We'll do that. But I'm enjoying this whole year schooling me in the classics that I haven't seen. So maybe
anytime, man. Anytime.
We got some options. We got some options to keep this going. But Carly, if people want to find you and see all the cool makeup work you're doing, is there a place out there on the interwebs where they can do that?
Absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at Carley Does Makeup, and that's CARLEY Does Makeup.
The correct way to spell Carly.
Yes,
let's be clear.
yes.
And you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at @YayShawnDoorman. You can find me on Letterboxd, which is super nifty. Do you know Letterboxd, Carly? It's where you can rate movies, you can review them. They didn't pay me to say any of this, but they should. But you can find me there. I'm just Shawn Doorman. And I want to thank all our listeners for checking us out, for sticking with us to the end of the episode. We'll see you at the movies.